Hello, everyone. My name is Miguel Myers. Welcome to my horror confessional, where every week I will have a guest come on and talk about one classic horror movie that they haven't seen and why. We'll discuss the movie, the actors, and probably get off topic quite a bit. Once I believe that they have properly atoned, I will absolve them of their horror movie sin. Today, we have Sharai Bohannon. She's a playwright that has been produced in London, England, and all over America. Her play, in the end, was highlighted on the Kilroy's 2020 list and was Equity Library Theater's 2019 All Access Reading Series finalist. Her play, Why Are You Like This? The Audience Services play, was a 2021 Bay Area Playwrights Festival semifinalist. She's also the founder or co-founder of Punching LaBute, a festival that strikes back at sexism to raise money for charities that support femmes. Additionally, she is a film and pop culture critic for various online magazines, including The Every Girl, Dread Central, and her own Medium page. She created and co-hosts the podcasts A Nightmare on Fear Street and Blurry Massacre. On the podcasts, she tackles horror films through a Black feminist lens. She also serves as the director of production for Rachel Lynette Theater Company. She is managed by Empirical Evidence and currently resides in St. Paul, Minnesota. Sharai, also known as Sharai the Slayer, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's so good to finally be here.
Yes. Sharai was supposed to be on 6 months ago, something like that. And I had a complete almost mental breakdown, and it was just like nothing matters and I'm not doing the show anymore, so I had to take a hiatus. I completely burned myself out, and she was literally like the last guest that I was supposed to have on before I took a well needed hiatus.
Breaks are good.
Yeah, and necessary,
Yes.
especially when you tackle what do a podcast by yourself where you have to do everything. And I wasn't built for that the way I was doing it, so now we're doing it differently.
Right. It's so much work with more than one person, so I can't even imagine. But also we love the horror movies, but they're not always kind to us. And so after a while, you do sort of start to be like, I need a break.
Yeah, yeah.
I've
Uh,
definitely popped off on some episodes. I'm like, it's not even this person. I should have said it was not that person. It was just like it was the 90th movie I saw that week that did that trope, and I was not having it. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
and just tired of it.
yes.
But before we get into anything, before we get into your whole background and everything, I need to talk about BlurCon.
Oh
Is
God, yes.
you and Zero and Ghoulish and Bobby and Mike and Jazz and Kat and everybody else. Like, I was so fucking jealous, but I was also so happy for y'all. It was like beautiful to see, and podcasts that came out of it and everything that came out of it. Like, I was basking in the glory that was you guys from BlurCon.
It was amazing. And it's all zero gravity. Like she's been telling us since we all met her, blurred con, blurred con, blurred con. And like some of us made it last year. I was not one of them because I'm a poor. So I was just sitting there watching all my friends hang out
Same.
without me. And I was like, I want to be where the people are next year.
Yeah.
And so getting to go this year and just seeing like so many black people unbothered and so many people just living their best lives in their cosplay and like nerding out in corners about things. And it was everything I've ever wanted in my life. I wish I could have
Mm.
gotten it sooner. I wish it was more than once a year, but I will be making sure I go back every year now. So yeah.
And where was it held?
It was in like Washington, DC. It's like that weird angle where everything meets. So you have like Virginia,
Is it the
Maryland,
DMV?
and
Is that what it's
DMV.
called?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you're like in all three of those places, but you're not in all three of those places. As
Yeah.
a
Yeah. Yeah.
Midwesterner, I was like, can we just pick a state? Where am I?
Yeah. Yeah. I was watching all the posts. Like, I follow everybody who's there, and I was just like, oh man, it just looked glorious. So it would definitely, like, if that's something that I could afford to go to next year, I will be going to just see so many black people and people of color just coming together around like nerdy shit, the shit that we love. It was just beautiful.
And it's also magic because so many of us have known each other for years, but not been in the same places.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
we're like, oh, I listen to those podcasts all the time. But who are they? What do they look like? Or how tall are they? I don't know. So it was good to be like, instead of me screaming in your face every once in a while, let's like hug it out and have a drink. Like
Had you met Brother Ghoulish or Zero before that in real life?
I had not met Brother Ghoulish before. They picked me up from the airport for a Blur. Zero and I had just met at South by Southwest a few months earlier.
Okay.
But like again, we're out here working with people all the time and we just have never met them. Like it was my first time meeting Jazz. and
Okay.
meeting girls that scary from each other's shows all over the place. And it was my first time being in the same place as Jazz. And I was like,
Yeah.
what? What?
It was just, yeah, it was beautiful to see. Yeah, it was so lovely to see all the people, so if you guys and then you guys did podcasts while you were there as well. So if you guys haven't listened, did Blurry Podcast already release
Yeah. So
Bloody Massacre? I'm sorry, Bloody Massacre is
you can
already
catch
released.
the Girl That's a Massacre. That's where Bloody Massacre and Girl That's
Love
Scary have
that
a
name.
crossover. Like
Yeah.
again, the group chats be popping.
Yeah.
That's on the Bloody Massacre feed from last month, I think. I'm
Okay.
bad at time, but if you look for Girl That's a Massacre, it'll come up. I'm sure we're the only ones. And then I believe People Under the Stairs or Girl That's Scary released the one with all three of us. So it's People Under the Stairs, which is like Mike and Bobby. You got Girl That's Scary, which is Jazz and Cat, and then you have all three of us fools from Bloody Massacre on the same panel doing Black history and
Yeah.
horror. And like it was because it's a BlurCon, like the conversations when you turn it over for the Q&As, you get like actual conversations. And it was just like so fun to see our rooms be packed by blurs who are just like, I was like by horror. Like I
Yeah.
like all this other stuff too, but like specifically, why is Michael Myers going downhill this way? Like, will Octavia ever gonna roll with her time? And we were like, we don't have these answers, but let's talk about it. Like,
Yeah. Oh man, Ma had so much potential. And then yeah. Okay.
the
All right.
Blumhouse
So
effect.
yeah. So we could talk about all that and more on the post-show Patreon exclusive, the Sunday school sessions. I do need to tackle your oeuvre of everything that you do here. So first, the playwright stuff. Is that something you went to school for, or is that something you came across after? Or?
I actually have like my master's in playwriting because
Okay.
I originally was going to be a journalist because I always wanted to write and I wanted to get paid for my writing. And so I was like, I'll be a journalist and I'll figure out how to get into TV and film and things later in life. And then it wasn't sparking joy. So I started doing theater. And I was like, I'll stage manage and write on the side, which is a fool's game. If you're stage managing, that's full time. People don't tell you that when you're a precious little fool baby, though. And so I was like, what if I believed in myself and got a writing degree? And so I went to the worst grad school at Texas Tech University for a grad program. And I got my degree. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go actually write real stuff now that I'm escaping this place. And it was going really well. And then COVID was like, haha, let's snatch all the big things you've got. And it's been fine adjusting to virtual and it's been fine. I did finally get my first professional production last year in New Orleans. And it was my thesis play, which was like weirdly full circle to be like this play that I like forced this place I hated. It's my first like big girl production. But yeah, it's
Congratulations.
thank you. And it's a theater I love. Like I really love NOLA Theater. They gave that same play a reading like the year before COVID popped up. And so like that means they've like held on to it to be like, we really do want to produce it. We're really serious. We just need to like wait until we can do it safely. And so when they were like, we're back with the actual season now, let's call that girl again. And I was like, what? You remember me? How dare you? Yeah.
Yeah. And so I haven't. Could you let us know what, like, in the end, or why you're like this? What are those about, or are they? Is all your work horror, or is it is kind of separate?
So like the full lengths are not horror. A lot of my horror pieces are shorter, like 10 minutes and whatnot. So they can go into festivals because unfortunately not enough people are producing full length horror plays. I wish they were because like literally that's what I would be doing. Um, so
Yeah.
my full lengths are normally like dark comedies. Like
Okay.
why are you like this? It's I used to work at a phone situation at Lyric Opera of Chicago, and the people who would call in with their demands and their ticket things were just like too much. And my managers were like, "You can't keep complaining in the office about these people." And I'm like, "Well, I'm going to complain somewhere." And so I started posting it on fucking Facebook, and the people in the room with me would read it on Facebook and laugh anyways, talk about it anyways. And my boss was like, "You can't do that." I'm like, I'm gonna still do it. It's my Facebook. And so
Yeah.
I ended up with like, I want to say 20 pages of me taking verbatim statements from these phone calls with these old people who are losing their shit and privileged and entitled. Because again, Chicago opera goers, so they're all older white rich people for the most part.
Yeah.
A lot of microaggressions.
So that sounds infuriating, just to like be in that position. I'm sure it was, but
Yes.
that sounds hilarious that you use that situation to profit off of and make your own thing.
Yeah.
I love that. My head won't let me go forward until I ask you, are you from Chicago?
I lived there for almost 4 years. I move around a lot. Like
Okay,
I was born and raised in Kansas City, Missouri, and I fled immediately.
as soon as you could, right?
As soon as I could, I was like, anywhere's better than this. And I ended up in Texas. Like, I was wrong.
Yeah, well, the reason why I asked is because I was born and raised in Chicago.
Mm.
I was there until my wife and I moved in 2015.
Are you
So I've been,
serious?
yeah, I was born and raised. I was born on Belmont Cragen area, so that's like the north side, northwest side, but also like Humboldt. Oh, sorry, I was born and raised in I was born in Humboldt Park and raised on the north side. So, yeah, I've
I
been.
moved there in 2016, so we just missed each other.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I could feel it. She's about to change the game. I need to get out of here so I can get something. Okay, so
No.
you were in Chicago and then you moved to Texas. What part of Texas?
So I went from Texas to Chicago because I was in
Oh, okay.
Lubbock for Texas Tech, which is another choice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I'm in Austin right now. I was
You're
like,
in the
we're
fun
like
part. Yeah.
yeah.
No.
But yeah, Austin and being in Texas wears you down. I mean, even if we live in Austin, like it just freaking wears you down, man.
Listen,
Uh
I left a different person. I was like, never again.
yeah, I see that. I see that. Okay, I'm sorry. My brain would have let whenever I hear somebody's from Chicago, I'm like, I need to talk about Chicago.
I, like on my first time, I was moving back this year because I was like, I'm moving, and right now I'm in Minneapolis, which
Now
is
you're
also a choice.
Minneapolis. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's like, so clearly moving back to Chicago. And I was like, I can't afford to move back to Chicago. I'm a freelancer now. There's no way this freelance life is going to make it in Chicago. Um,
Yeah. And
yeah.
then you went like we moved south because of the cold. You went, no, fuck that. Give me more. I
to
want
be
more
fair,
cold.
to be fair, I'm here after a year in Indiana. After a year in Indiana, anywhere is a goal. Um,
Okay.
like,
Yeah. I was about to say, is there like a popping place in Indiana or is it
no.
like no, okay.
I was there because I got a job that I shouldn't have taken, but the pandemic was happening and my things were getting snatched. So I was like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
do this grown up job.
Yeah.
And then I was like, this was a mistake. The school's not ready to hear black people call them out for things. Let me remove
Oh,
myself. And I had a friend heading out this way at the time, and I was like, I'm gonna just go and put my stuff in that U-Haul and see what happens.
nice. You know, you got to take your paths when they come to you, right? That's cool.
Listen,
You're what are they yeah, there's a word like free spirit or
yeah,
there's somebody who just like follows the path that's laid out in front of them when it's given to them. But also
right?
not to romanticize the shit, like you also have to go where you can make a living, right?
Exactly. Like, there's no way me and my little computer are gonna like thrive in New York. And so, like, I'm
Yeah.
probably gonna be in the Midwest a little bit longer than I want, which I hate.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I get to like do things on my own time for the most part now, which is
Are
not
you
something I had
are you gonna
before.
ruin the joke? Are you gonna purify yourself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka?
No, I don't go outside here.
Okay. All right. So I had known that joke for forever, and obviously Dave Chappelle when he was doing Prince and all that. But my confession to you is I had never seen Purple Rain up until like 4 months ago or whatever.
Oh,
Amazing movie. I mean, but he is such a like we're already off. Sure, you got me off
listen,
kilter already.
I live
This is
off
what
the
this
beaten
show's gonna
path.
be.
They're gonna be 2 hours of conversation in 5 minutes of this movie.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna keep it going.
He is such a he's such an asshole in that movie. He's a toxic person in that movie. So I was like surprised to see and like everybody loves this movie, obviously, but like I was like, holy shit, he's toxic as fuck.
Like, people love a toxic movie from the 80s. Like, they love
Yeah.
it. And when you're like, I like it, but they're like, no. And it's like, nobody's saying you can't like it. We're just saying we need to talk about the themes in the movie, like what we've
Yeah.
seen.
They're like, no, but the time.
Oh my God. People love to say, but at that time, Uncle Problematic Stephen King. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like, so for people who don't know, because a lot of people never know somehow. The original book, one of the because he always changes versions, but like the original version of it ends with like group sex with these kids in the sewer, and it's very assaulty. And people have been like, because the movie was getting remade, so people are like, would you change that now, right, Uncle Stephen? Which should be an easy yes question,
Yeah.
but not Uncle Problematic Stephen King. He's like, it was a different time back then. You could write about those kind of things. And people are like, that's not what we wanted you to say.
We served it up to you in a
Right?
platter. It was so easy.
All you had to do was be like, yes, I would write that differently. But he was like,
Yeah.
no. Back then
And,
you wrote about that kind of stuff. I'm like, who?
Yeah, back then we wrote about the sacrificial Negro and the magical Negro and all that sort of stuff. We have
Right?
him to thank for the magical Negro.
Listen, he's never written a black or brown person who's not magical and is not about to die. Um,
I haven't read anything of his since like The Cell, which came out like, or Lisi's Story, which was like in '08.
yeah,
So I don't know if he's gotten any better, but probably not. But
I don't think so. And I used to
yeah,
read this stuff religiously as a kid because when we were kids, it's all we had. Like you'd find some other randos, but it was mostly Stephen King.
yeah,
Um, so I
yeah. I
remember
couldn't fuck
reading.
with Dean Koontz. I didn't like Dean Koontz.
I
He's low
have a
rents.
couple,
He was like,
right? I have a couple, but it's not the same. And
yeah,
like once you find Steven, it's hard to go back to R.L. Stein, even though like Christopher Pike was putting up a good fight. Christopher Pike is like, they're not zombies, but they are zombies, but they're from space. And also spirituality is a thing. And it's like, what? You're blowing my mind, Mr. Pike. I'm just a child. Like
yeah. But people still love the R.L. Stein was Goosebumps. Like I
Fear Street,
was
yeah.
I was working or I was minding this my friend's store, Ghoulish Books in San Antonio. Buy your books from Ghoulish. Um, Yesterday, and he has like a whole section of Goosebumps, and like that was the hot seller. People were just coming in, like grown men. Where I think they're like kind of like pandemic hobbies of like getting the collection of Goosebumps that you had as a kid that your mom threw away or something like that. But people still love that stuff.
I remember the day I sold my Goosebumps collection because I had a lot of them. I had like maybe half, and I ordered some brand new in the mail from Scholastic with my
Yeah.
allowance. And the day I sold them to my little brother was the day I was like, oh no, I'm about to have real people problems. I'm selling my collection to my little brother.
Is this what adulthood is? Because this sucks. This
Right? I
sucks.
was like, I want
Yeah.
them back. So I just steal them slowly. Didn't know this.
Okay. So, and I love the fact that I haven't acknowledged the cat ears yet. And you know what? We're just not going to acknowledge them for the people on Patreon. They see the cat ears, and that's it. We're just going to move forward.
I'm
Um,
jealous. I want cat ears. Like,
I, so okay, so that was your stage work, your stage playwright work.
mhm.
Sorry. So how did you get into like the horror scene? What is your history with horror? Have you always loved it? Have you fallen into it later? That sort of thing.
Oh, I grew up on horror. As a kid, I lost many battles in my house, but for whatever reason, me being like, why do the boys get to watch scary movies and I don't? It's because I'm a girl. That landed with my mother for whatever reason. And so my 5-year-old asked, and there with my brothers who were teenagers, watching horror movies. And her thing was, if you have nightmares, don't come to me. And I never had nightmares, but I did have like really cool guests for my tea setup. I'd be like, well, Michael Myers, well, Freddy
That's awesome.
Krueger. And so it was one of the few happy memories of my childhood, just watching horror movies and like recommending horror movies to the adults because I started watching more than them because I was a child with insomnia. So I was like, I could
Wait,
just
did
be like,
we connect insomnia to horror movie watching at the age of 5?
I think I was just always meant to be
Okay.
weird, and I don't know because I was always awake anyways, and so I was like, now I'm just awake watching horror movies
Hell yeah.
because
Okay.
my mother's a hoarder, and so she had like VHS tapes of shit she just recorded whenever we had cable or whenever it came on basic TV or whatever.
Love it.
So
I love it.
I didn't know Halloween didn't have commercials until I was like a teenager. Like I was like,
Oh
what?
man.
The scenes just keep going.
Yeah.
um, but
That's
yeah,
also I can imagine like when you saw the nudity, you're like, what?
right? I was
Yeah.
like, I've never seen this version because it's the original version.
Yeah.
Um, but
But
I
but
good.
then you got to see all the added TV scenes that they went in and reshot when they were shooting Halloween 2.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going.
And it messes with your brain because like when
Yeah,
you're watching it, you're like, there used to be something else here, or this was different. And you
yeah.
don't know why, but it's like because you were watching what your mother recorded off of USA Up All Night.
Wow. Yeah,
The cuss words are back in, and you're like, they did say fuck. I knew it. I knew it. I always
yeah.
known. Um,
Um, so and just to go back a bit, not to say no judgment on your mom for letting you watch movies at 5. I was also watching movies at 5. I was just making a joke there with the insomnia. So
yeah.
but that's something that so you grew up watching that sort of stuff, and it sounds like your older brothers as well kind of were into horror. Is that something that they continue? Do they still fuck with horror, or like are you the resident family horror nerd?
I'm definitely the nerd, but like my default favorite older brother, because again, it was a large family. I was number 6 of 8 kids, but my
Okay.
youngest oldest brother,
I get
I'll
it.
still make him and his wife some suggestions because, like, I'll just be like, "Have y'all seen *Malignant*? I think I should watch *Malignant* right now." And they're like, "Oh shit, that's wild." And sometimes they'll try and find me scary movies, but like I've already seen it. I'm good. I'm the classic
Yeah.
gal now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always been fun. It's always was fun making my younger nieces and nephews watch the stuff and then go home scared. And they'd be like, "Who let them watch that?" I'm like, "Stop letting me babysit." Um,
That's the price you pay. That's the price you pay.
right? You drop them off over here, hitting me a fiver. That's not enough for me to not watch my scary movies.
Yeah.
Like, you know my
And
rates.
so you had it with your family as far as horror. How about externally, like in school, friends? Did you have any like friends that were into horror growing up?
Because I got snatched out of school around second grade and was homeschooled, I didn't have anybody outside of family, which was miserable. But when I escaped homeschooling for college, that's when I started finding some friends. But again, like it was, oh, I saw this movie, and you'll talk about it like in corners because it wasn't mainstream at that community college in Missouri. Go figure. And so when I transferred out of my community college to my undergrad, that's where I met my co-host for Fear Street Trent. We would just get drunk and watch horror movies at my apartment all the time.
Okay.
And I was like, ooh, family. Um, and,
So
and
that's
I
hilarious.
right,
Yeah.
and because it was like I went all these years on pause because I was out in the real world now. And it's like, and now I can find somebody else. We're gonna watch this new Freddy Krueger because it's a remake. People say they hate, but why do they hate it? Let's go watch this classic we missed. Because like I don't even know how Trent was getting his hands on these copies of things because like I don't remember us. Actually, we did have a video rental place, so that's probably what he was doing. I
Okay.
just never asked questions. The movies would appear, and I was like, "We're
It's
hitting
like
play.
popcorn. Let's go.
Listen, open the vodka. We're doing this." And no questions asked.
I got that
And
Fangoria shirt. I'm not wearing it, but I got that
oh yeah,
Fangoria shirt too. I love that shirt. Yeah.
I love this one, and I love the pink and blue one. And I wanted this year's baseball tee, but they put them out when my credit cards and I were not speaking, and I was in the middle of a move, so I didn't have an address.
Hey, I told you already about me and Google fighting because they wanted me to spend more money on storage. And I said, no, thank you, sir. I will delete all these
Listen,
unnecessary emails that I'm hoarding.
that's always me. I'm like, I don't need this thing from 8 years ago. Clearly, whatever that was is not important anymore.
Yeah. I'd rather spend 5 hours cleaning out my inbox than spend $2 for a month of extra storage from Google,
Listen,
which
I also have too many email addresses because of my old life. And so I'm just like, let's move all of that over there. I'll deal with it later. And so those are dying. It's bad. Like
yeah.
I'm an email hoarder, apparently. My Google
so
Drives are maxed.
so it's funny because like there was another horror podcast, homies of horror, who met in college and
Mm.
we just started watching horror movies together and all that sort of stuff. And I was like, I didn't go to college, but that sounds like if I had known that that's what college was going to be and I could afford it, I probably would have gone.
Listen, no, because it was cool because we had a few other people in the theater department that liked horror movies, but not like us because we were just like big on the horror. We people would be like, "We're going out," and we would be like, "We're gonna drink and watch horror movies here because
Yeah.
we have alcohol here." And
We're
I
gonna
went
watch
on my PJs.
we're gonna watch
Like,
Stage Fright and just chill over here.
yeah. And so it anyway, so we separated because we all like graduated and went on with our lives. And at the top of the pandemic, I was in Indiana, which was a mistake for so many reasons. I love my students. I love the few friends I made there, but mistakes on mistakes as a black woman moving to Indiana in
Mhm.
2020. My first weekend, there was a hate crime and nobody would do anything about it. And I was
Oh
like,
man, I'm sorry to hear that.
right? I was like, I knew when I moved here it was going to be an issue. If I didn't know, it'd be like, welcome, hate crime, news, DA don't care. And so you're just watching it go down, and you're like, I've decided to come here. But I was like, I need to do something to keep myself sane. All of my productions and things got snatched. I'm in Indiana. I'm trying to make myself do theater again. Trent, what if we hopped on Zoom and recorded that and made a podcast? Because back in 2020, everybody was like, everything's virtual. And so Comic Con was virtual. And I saw this panel because I was like, I get to like finally do Comic Con stuff because of the pandemic. I mean, it's sad it's virtual, but I get to finally see some of this shit I can never afford. And so there was this queer horror panel, which is how I discovered Nay Beaver, who is a badass. She's one of the producers on Queer for Fear, that docu series that happened on Shudder last year.
It was great.
She,
I love that
yeah,
series. Yeah.
She's an artist and she co-hosts Attack of the Queer Wolves. She's just like,
Oh yeah, okay, I know. Name, yes, I didn't
yeah,
realize her
Nay
last
is the
name.
shit. And I was like, who is this person? Because I went there because I was like, oh, Brian Fuller is on a panel. I love Brian Fuller, and I was like, well, who Nay? Um, and they were talking about like queer horror and like lenses and all of that because they were gearing up, I guess, for the other project that were about to come out. And I was like, if they could do this on Zoom, we could do this on Zoom. I have theater degrees. I know how to get audio and do things in Audacity. What if we did that? And so we literally, and again, everything just sort of like fell into place. We came together for a meeting because Trent thought I was joking. I'm like, no, no, no. Sundays we're gonna get drunk and record and talk about a thing. It's gonna be great. And we like found our name, which was a play on Elm Street slash Fear Street, because again, I was an R.L. Stein girl once upon a time. And it served both purposes. And then like we were like, we're gonna record next Sunday. And it turns out next Sunday was Wes Craven's birthday, which again we're bad at numbers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so our podcast anniversary is literally the day after Wes Craven's birthday because we recorded it and then put it up the next day because you're an impatient asshole when you do your first episode. We're all like, we need the world to hear it right now.
Oh, I was completely different. I had 8 episodes in the bank before I even, because I was like, I'm not gonna have enough time to do all this. I need to get some in the bank, and but I did feel like that. I did want to release it immediately, but
Like we've gotten to the point where we have them banked down, but like when we first started, we were just like, we needed to go up right now. Nobody wants to wait. And that's why like if you start with some of our like first episodes, you can sort of hear the quality. You're like, why are these two fools doing this way? And you can tell what's funny is like, I'm gonna get these fools some microphones. And you could tell when I started helping edit because like Trent was not there for the like technical technology stuff in school, and I was, and so I did not know. I needed to guide him a little bit more. And
okay.
so those first ones are a little hard to listen to, but we got there eventually, and now
That's
we're
every
ahead of the curve.
podcast. That's every podcast. You gotta. It
Right?
takes a little bit. Like I've been doing it on and off for like almost 2 years, and it's still like learning shit. You know.
Listen, I was yesterday years old when I was like, if I put the mic right in front of my mouth, will I sound crisper? Because I've been sounding so weird because I never have furniture and I just moved again. And so there's no soft goods in this room. It's all bookcases, books, and walls. And so I was just in here being like, echoes, echoes, echoes. And I was like, wait, is this, can I have this?
That sounds good. Yeah, sounds good.
Right.
And you got the pop filter. I just recently got the damn pop filter.
This mic was a gift because my
Okay.
first mic was a gift because our friend LaBob, who made our intro for First Street, was like, I don't know how to tell this girl she get drunk or run away from the computer. So I'm gonna just get some mics so we can hear everything she's saying. And I was like, message received. And then that one died and I moved because I moved too much. And so I got like a Band-Aid mic and it was not doing great. And then another friend, Chels, was like, we're doing podcasts together. I'm gonna just send you something real quick. And I was like, a pop filter does so much.
Yeah.
I'm an adult. Like I don't,
Huh.
this is my
Huh.
first Rode mic.
And then we don't have to go into it, but the positive thing that came out of it is that I heard about you guys, but there was the whole thing about the name of your show, and I actually found you and A Nightmare on Fifth Street. Yeah,
Yeah.
these two. Those two podcasts I found, and then that other podcast I'm like, I don't give a fuck about. I've
Listen.
never heard one episode.
Same. And the sad part was like, if that's how you were getting known, maybe you should look at what you're doing. Um, but that was a whole time. And I, again, like Fear Street was less than a year old. And again, we walked into it thinking like four friends would listen. So we were already like doing really way better than that, which we didn't ever see coming. And so it was just like, I'm not gonna let this person do this to me. Screw her. And so I wrote my Medium piece, which Medium took down because like you can't share screenshots. I'm like, well, she shouldn't have sent those screenshots. But
They took
Afro
it down.
Horror, Medium took it down, which is why I had to put it up on Afro Horror because Sade was like, I have a home for you.
Okay.
She got it up so fast. Because people were like sharing it all over, and then they were like, I can't read it anymore. I'm like, I'm working on it. And Sade was like, we can put it up over here. People need to know.
Yeah.
Because what happened is that other street was attacking both me and Fifth Street. And I was like, she's doing this on purpose. Like, I had just met Fifth Street on Clubhouse, maybe the week before she started trying me.
Mhm.
And I was like, I bet you if I reach out to this other place that we just met, she's also trying them. And so I was like, "Hey, is she messaging y'all about stuff?" And they were like, "She's messaging us right now. How did you know?" And I was like, "Because when there's smoke, there's fire." And so, so they lit her up on Instagram that first weekend, and she was all like, "I don't think you need to share this. That's unprofessional. I was just trying to be courteous." And I was like, "I'm gonna write something real quick." And so we got her the next weekend. And
We got her,
me
boys. We
and
got her.
right and the great part is me and Fifth Street get along because like there's room for everybody. And so we take vacations together when we can all afford it. I write for their horror movie blog. It's a good relationship. And I think it just goes to show that when people are not in their own heads and trying to be self-important, they can make friends and community and do cool stuff together.
Yeah, and she, she thought that she could. She knew. She just knew that she was in the right because she's a white woman, and that
Mm-hmm.
these minorities need to take down all this sort of stuff. It's like there, you could have just shut up, and you would have been
Listen,
in a better situation than you're in right now. Like there's literally room for everybody, and you're trying to literally silence the voices of black and brown people in the horror
yeah,
community, which at that time wasn't a lot. It's grown exponentially
yeah,
now. You and Fifth Street like are one of the reasons why like I am here, along with like Pod Mortem and all that sort of stuff, like
yes.
showing me that it was something that I was able to do, and there were people who would be listening to it. So she literally wanted to silence that.
She did. And we know it was intentional because how many Wes Craven Nightmare on Elm Street podcasts are out there that are not by brown people? Was she put up on all of those? Because I doubt it. Um,
Yeah,
and so I'm like, you told on yourself. And the system is always in place for white women who want to do that shit because not even like the day after, people are calling me in the meetings and stuff on Clubhouse. Like, first off, you're not the principal. Um, and they're like, you don't think she's racist? I'm like, I think she is racist. That's why I wrote that. Do you need to reread it? And then find me again. And
yeah,
people were all like, "What are you gonna do about it?" Because like, if there needs to be mediation, right? I'm like, I don't need to mediate anything. Like, she did a thing, I responded, and I'm done. Why are you talking to me about it? But white fragility is just like, well, you've called her racist, and so therefore I'm worried about her. And I'm like, fuck her. She'll be
yeah.
fine. She's paid for all these followers and listeners. She's gonna be fine.
Yeah, we're not even gonna waste any more time on her. But I brought that up to because something good for me came out of it, in that I heard about you guys, which I'm sure that was the case for a lot of people. And so like this thing that she was trying to silence, actually helped to amplify. So she's actually an ally. She was trying to.
Right.
She ended up amplifying your voices.
She's so racist. She did a good thing.
Yeah.
Because it definitely made me more visible. And I think that's why I've got some of the bylines I've gotten. Because, like, first off, it was a very thorough piece about what she'd done.
It was a thorough dragging.
Listen, like, I'm a professional dragger. And so that was a good writing sample, as well as, oh, also, this person has, like, some
I
horror knowledge. And
wait. I love the fact that you use it as a writing sample. That's amazing. That's amazing.
I'm just like, my portfolio.
Yeah. Do you just like set them up? These are think pieces. These are drag pieces. These are
Right.
like, oh man. Okay. So then, so we heard about like your background with horror and all that sort of stuff. So how about for specifically for this movie? So when we were the first movie we were talking about, I think it was like Demons, and that would have been
Yeah.
great to do as well, but it's been so long. So you said that you were interested in doing a werewolf movie because you had seen a lot of like the 80s werewolf movies. And so I suggested this movie to you, and you were down with it. Had you heard of this movie before?
So funny enough, I'd only heard of this movie a couple months ago because Marlene Clark passed away.
Yes,
And so
rest
I
in
was reading some of
peace.
her right. And I was reading some of her interviews and this title came up and I'm like, I've never heard of that. Which makes sense because she did a lot of like blaxploitation movies and movies in the 70s. And those are always shit upon because white criticism is here to be like, it was a trash movie, aka they were black people. And so a lot of
Yeah,
us grow up not seeing these movies, which are gems. Like, if not for horror noir, I would have probably never seen Blackula or Sugar Hill and these other bops because,
Sugar
again,
Hill's so good.
gatekeeping.
Blackula's so good.
Sugar Hill's a moment. I was like, this bitch should have started the Marvel Universe. Where is her movie? Where is her series?
Sugar Hill has the like one of my favorite transitions in horror, no, in film, period. and it's when they cut from one scene to the exterior of another scene, and it just says zombie research facility, and you're like, wait, what? And it's this huge medical building, and it's like, oh, there just happens to be a zombie research facility in this world. Love it, absolutely fucking love it.
It's just
Amazing.
such an iconic movie. Like
It's
I love she's backhanding the girlfriend in the bar because she tried her, and I was like, relatable, relatable. Look,
yeah. Okay, so you'd heard of it through because of Marlene Clark's
yeah.
passing. Okay, and so what did you? So if you've clicked on the podcast already, you know. But we're talking about The Beast Must Die from 1974, directed by Paul Annett, written by Michael Winder. Paul Annett had an uncredited role on it. A story by James Blish and uncredited by Scott Finch as well. So generally, we're going to go into it based on vibes and what we thought. But overall, what did you think of? And then we're going to rate it at the end. So, what did you think going in of The Beast Must Die?
So because I go in knowing nothing, I know a
Yeah,
title, and you said Marlene Clark was there, which is part of the reason I was like, let's do it, because I was in my werewolf summer, and I want to do something to honor her. Um,
I
and
love
I was
that
like,
Werewolf Summer.
right, because like we all love werewolves, but we don't give them enough credit. So I'm like, it's their time this summer. It's their
Yeah,
time. So I think this is like number 27 or 28 werewolf movie. I've seen most of them are first time watches, but a lot of rewatches this summer, and that's starting like June something to August, whatever today is. Which is not bad, but like I could be further along. But I went in knowing nothing. I was like, Marlene Clark's gonna be there, and there's gonna be werewolves probably. Let's go. And so I had a good time because I love to see eccentric billionaires who are black. This is definitely a role that would have normally gone to Sean Connery or someone. It's just so over the top and ridiculous.
eccentric with a capital E. Like, love it, absolutely love it. Yeah, and so it's Calvin Lockhart as Tom Newcliffe, the main dude in it. In the same year, he did Uptown Saturday Night with Sir Sidney Poitier because he was knighted in 1968. So you talk about it with respect, Sir Sidney Poitier, and Harry Belafonte, who was also knighted as well. And he was in Coming to America. He was in Let's Do It again with Sir Poitier and Jimmy Walker. We don't talk about the other guy that was in that movie. Uh, and then he was, for all the horror heads, he was King Willie in Predator 2, if y'all remember that. I mean, he just had a long and distinguished career. Like, he was the man. He was like, people compared him to Sir Sidney Poitier because of just his cadence and his demeanor and his screen presence. Like, it was very similar to that of Poitier's.
We had so many black actors who were like classically trained and could tackle text, and they just were not getting roles because of racism. And so that's why like Clarence Williams III never got enough love for like Tales from the Hood, and so many other actors. It could be a whole 5-hour podcast of just like black actors who
Oh
deserve
yeah,
better. Um,
what is it? Is it Henry Marshall or William Marshall
William
from Black
Marshall, yeah,
William Marshall from Blackula?
yeah,
Yeah,
another
classically
one.
trained.
Yeah, and he's out here being Blackula, and people are shitting on his movies. And I'm just like, you won't give him a job. He's making his own things because he was also in Abby, which they shut down, and that's a whole rant because people and racism is a whole separate subgenre of horror.
It's like Abby is like The Exorcist only because of the because she gets possessed, but that's it. I mean,
Listen,
it's a wholly other like movie. I don't know why the hell they had to, like, it was a Warner Brothers, right? Went after them.
yeah, they were like, you can't do that, and I'm like, why? How is this different from the other movies that were ripping off The Exorcist? One has black
Yeah,
people, and that's why she's still always free somewhere, probably on YouTube, and she deserves like a real release. And people deserve money. I don't know who in those families are still alive. They deserve money, and Warner Brothers needs to like correct that while they're correcting a bunch of things because that's part of the reason people are on strike. Warner Brothers
yeah.
doing the most.
Yeah, if y'all haven't seen Abby, it's a great 70s black horror movie. Not just a great horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But then we have Marlene Clark, like you were talking about. She's Carolyn Newcliffe. She was in Ganja and Hess, if people have seen Ganja and Hess. She was in Enter the Dragon. She was in
Mhm.
Switchblade Sisters. Sexy bombshell. She did not have enough to do in this movie, which is unfortunate. That's like the patriarchy and also racism and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But we did get her. And the reason we got Marlene Clark was because we got Calvin Lockhart. We got Calvin Lockhart because the producers of the movie wanted to exploit the Blaxploitation genre, the boom that was happening at this time. So they're like, well, let's get a black actor for this. And then, of course, if he's going to be married and his wife's going to be there, there's going to be a black woman. Like, you can't. I'm glad there's a black woman there, but if we can't have him married to a white woman, that's too racy or whatever. So, and then we also have Peter Cushing as Professor Christopher Lundgren. Of course, Peter Cushing is a Hammer horror legend. If you're into Star Wars, he's Grand Moff Tarkin, which is a thing. I'm not into Star Wars, but I looked it up and he was in there, and I vaguely remember it. So I'm sure there's people who listen who are into Star Wars. So that's a thing. But obviously, we all know Peter Cushing. He was in Shockwaves as well as just a bunch of other horror stuff. So the cast of this movie is pretty good. I mean, everybody else is not really unknowns to me. Charles Gray is Arthur Bennington, Anton Diffring is Pavel, Saran Madden is Davina, Tom Chadban is Paul Foote, Michael Gambon as Jan Jarmowski, and Valentine Dywall as the Werewolf Break narrator, which I wanted to put in there because do you want to talk about the Werewolf Break now? Do you want to talk about it later? What do you want to do?
I was like, what in the clue? But it was fine because I was having a good time. But I'd forgotten they were like, it's a detective situation, bitch. And so when they were like, you have 30 seconds, like, oh no, it's a pop quiz. Like,
so you went into this not knowing about the Werewolf Break.
right.
Oh shit, that's amazing. Okay. So let me pull up a brief synopsis of the film, just so people can know.
I loved it. I was like, this movie's an event. I was not prepared. Me and my drink, I thought we had a few more seconds to make a final decision. I know who I suspected though, and I wasn't wrong, but I also wasn't right. Because yeah.
Yes, I was going to ask you because I had seen this movie a couple years ago for in Halloween. In October, I create a list of movies that I'm gonna see every day, and I theme them like it'll be a zombie or whatever. And like 2 years ago, it was black horror movies, and so for the whole month of October, I watched black horror movies, and this was one of them that I had never even heard of, and I
Yeah.
saw. So that's when you said werewolf movies. I was like, oh man, if she hasn't heard of The Beast Must Die, we need to watch this. But so The Beast Must Die, basically, it's 8 people have been invited to an island estate for the weekend, and one of them is the owner of the estate believes them to be a werewolf. And then can you guess which one? So on the poster, it says, can you guess who it is when we stop the film for the werewolf break? So it actually says it on the poster. But going into this, I don't think I didn't like the first time I saw it, I didn't know. And then I was talking to Anthony Jerome M about this movie because I told him that you're going to be on the show and he's excited. And he's like, he's never even heard of it, I think. And he's going to look. He wasn't going to watch it, just listen to the show. Then he saw the werewolf break thing on the poster and he's like, okay, I might need to watch it. But so for people who haven't watched this movie, this isn't a spoiler. There is a literal werewolf break at like an hour 16 into the movie where they pause it, and it's like it's supposed to be a kind of clue whodunit mystery, and you're supposed to guess at that point who the werewolf is, and they literally pause it for 30 seconds and you see a clock, they put a clock on the screen and then they count down 30 seconds. And could you imagine when the director saw this? He was so pissed because it completely stops the movie dead in its tracks. Any suspense that was happening is gone for this. It's a gimmick. That's all it was. It was a gimmick, yeah. Right? And the director saw this and was livid because it was the producer's idea, and so it went in. But so they pause for 30 seconds and then they go right into it. And then we got is it Tom, right? Tom's the main character. Or, yeah, he's just like, I knew it was you all along. And it's just like this. Oh man, the acting in this movie is just over the top and incredible. So we were talking about you. So when the werewolf break happened, you didn't know what was happening.
No, I was like, what? What? Because again, they open it like this is a detective story. I'm like, it's a werewolf story. Let's go. And then they get there. I'm like, I didn't know it was real. I didn't know it was really Blue's Clues. I wasn't ready. Oh no. I think it's the girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then they were like, it was you all along. Like, but who was it? I lean even more forward because I was already having a good time. I'm not gonna lie. I get the director's probably pissed. They did not talk about that break, but I love that. I'm a girl that grew up on Clue. I love when I get to solve a mystery and you encourage me to solve it because I'm trying to solve it anyways. And so yeah.
It's like for people who love like Scream are gonna
Yes.
love this, right? Because you wish Scream would do something like this
You do. You
right before
do.
they take off the mask.
I think it's just honest because a lot of us are trying to like figure out who done it, which is why we're here and it's a good time. Like I'm a professional ruiner. Part of the reason I don't watch M. Night Shyamalan movies is I figure them out in the first 5-10 minutes. And then I just sit there being like, I played myself. Um
Yeah,
so, so I love that. Like they're like, we know what you're doing and we're gonna also play along with you. I'm like, how dare you?
yeah. And it felt to me, I don't know how old you are, and we don't need to get into it. I'm old, and it reminded me of the old 80s like VCR games. If you ever played those,
Yes. Because I
where
was a Clue kid. I found like one of those in I forgot what the thrift store was, probably a Savers. And I was like, you can do Clue on the VCR as a game. And so
yeah,
I did that one summer for all summer. And it was just like that. Because you were like, pause. Okay, what do we know? Who do we know? Who did it? What was it?
press play, and then it's like you're wrong, but the VCR is going like you're right because obviously they can't change anything. It's
Right.
amazing. Okay, so Werewolf Break, absolutely amazing. It's worth it to watch this movie just for that.
Yes.
But on top of that, you also get Marlene Clark, and you get Calvin Lockhart, and you get Peter Cushing. Like, I'm surprised, like you said, that more people don't talk about this movie, and I really wonder why. And then I think, oh, I know why.
Mm-hmm.
But there's other movies. Huh? I was gonna say there's other horror movies in this time starring Black people that people like, but I'm thinking maybe it's for other reasons. Like
Yep.
we're talking about Night of the Living Dead is because George Romero on Zombies.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Dawn of the Dead is because George Romero on Zombies. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
struggling to think of a Black horror movie from this time period that people actually talk about.
Like
Can you think of one?
exactly, because again, the critics were just like, "It's trash. It's beneath me," if they even saw it, and then that's why I like to go through. I go through Rotten Tomatoes a couple times a year just to like keep me spiteful, so I'll keep fighting. Because almost all of the black movies are downvoted if the critics watch them. Because so many
Mhm.
people were like, "Mortuary Flesh is the best movie I've ever seen." It's like, have you not seen Tales from the Hood? I haven't had time. It's been around for 30 years. You've had
Yeah,
time. We were in a pandemic when his house dropped on Netflix and people didn't have time to watch it. And I'm like, we're all on Netflix and you don't have time for a 90-minute movie with black leads. And so,
we're all on Beyonce's internet. Get on
listen,
Netflix and watch that fucking
listen,
movie.
you are actively stepping around this movie. And so I feel like in a lot of ways, black famous has always been a thing because black people at the time saw it and they tried to tell their kids about it. And we were like, media says it's bad. I don't want to see Blackula. I don't want to see Ganja and Hess. And now that we're older and we know that media has been a sham, we're just like, I could have had this the whole time. I could have known about Marky Bay summoning zombies and cleared out of town my whole life. And this is denied me because of racism, is what you're
Yeah.
saying.
It's like white people. I've said this before. Like if there's two or more black people in a cast, it's a black movie,
Yep,
right?
it's
And a
woke.
white audience won't go see it. But if there's one black person in a, or like if there's like two or three white people in a movie, it doesn't make it a white movie, and everybody sees it, right? It's like
Yep.
it's just frustrating.
Like I was pissed off yesterday. Well, I'm pissed off about this a lot, but yesterday was the most recent time because people, specifically white people, love to be like, it's the new Get Out or it's like Get Out, and it's like it's not. It has black people, but like what are you trying to say? If every movie with black people is like Get Out, we'd have a lot more Get Outs. Because they'd love to put that label on stuff like that movie The Strays, which I've not seen, but everybody says is bad. They're like, it's like the new Get Out, and I'm like, but all the black people I know are hating it. So odds are it's not like
Yeah.
the new Get Out.
I
The other
haven't.
day,
I haven't. I don't think I've heard of that one.
Netflix doesn't advertise anything, and
Oh,
so
it's
they
on
just drop
Netflix. Yeah.
movies. Yeah, and they said somebody the other day was talking about Skeleton Key. It was like it's just like Get Out. I'm like, what? Skeleton Key?
No, they're like from the mid 2000s.
Yeah, like Kate Hudson
Skeleton.
running around not being in Get Out. What?
Yeah, it wishes. It wishes. I mean, it's a fine movie. I think me and AJM did it for um my 2000s confessional than I did with him because I'm not the biggest 2000s fan. So he's taken me through the mid 2000s with movies, and that was one of them.
I loved it. No, but it again, like I think that white people love to be like, how can I say the quiet part out loud in a professional way? It's like Get Out. It's just like Get Out. It's the new
Yeah.
Get Out. And don't.
Do you remember what movie was it, like the blackening that they were talking about that was the new Get Out? Or
No, it was literally The Strays and Skeleton Key most
oh,
recently.
okay,
Because
okay.
like people are always saying that, and like I've seen some critics do it. I mean like what the fuck? Because like their critics because like they again are writing about black movies because now they have to occasionally, um, but not as often. Like there was a
Yeah,
movie called The Reading this year with Monique in it, and it's not a great movie, but Monique did the things that needed to be done.
yeah,
And most of the outlets didn't cover it, which is why my review on Dread Central, which was a middling review because it's not a great movie, but again, it's fun to see Monique. It like blew the fuck up because nobody else was cover it because we don't hire black critics. Like I'm still one of the few, if not the only horror critic that's black being paid regularly. And I'm almost been doing this for 2 years at Dread. And
we didn't
that's
even talk about. I mean, I brought it up in your intro, but we didn't even talk about all the articles that you've done on Dread Central. So I maybe we'll save that for the post show Sunday school sessions. But yeah, the work you do on Dread Central, not only is it important, but it's good as well. And your articles are fun to read,
thank
and
you.
you're highlighting topics that like you do a lot of like mainstream stuff too because that's your job, but you also highlight other movies and themes and topics that wouldn't be highlighted because you have a very specific lens, and
Thank
it's I love that you're out there doing that. And I apologize if we didn't get to talk about it earlier, but I definitely want to talk about it later.
Oh no, it's fine because I part of the reason part of the reason I was having a moment yesterday is because I'm doing 100 horror movies in 92 days because I watch more than that anyways, but it forced me to watch stuff I've not seen before.
Yeah,
And I was like, I've not seen any Black Final Girls so far, and I'm on movie like 34. Let me try and find one. So I went to Google Black Final Girls, and my article popped up first because we don't have enough Black people talking about Black art and Black people because we don't hire us.
yeah,
Because again, I've had my job for almost 2 years, and I don't see anybody else hiring black people. We've not hired a black person, and that's it's a problem. It's a problem because again, it's not fun being the only one, and it
right,
leads for me to sort of stall out because I have to go like do deep digs to find people's blogs who are doing the work and not being paid for it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you're also, it sucks the position you're in, like, to be being the only one, but you're also an example for others who want to do it. So if you're listening and that's something that you want to do, you should do it because your voice is needed. Listen, there's plenty of white dude bros in the horror sphere who think that their voice is important, and they're just like, I've told this all the time, just handle yourself with the confidence of a mediocre white man.
yes,
And if you do that, you will be so surprised at what you will get done because they just do that and be untalented as fuck,
yep,
you know?
yep,
But because they see themselves represented in all aspects of society and everywhere they go, they believe they can do that. And people like us, black people, Hispanic people, people of color, we don't see the people represented, so we don't think we can do that. But Sharai is here to actively let you know that's wrong. That it is possible for you to do that. To be, you can do something you love. You can talk about horror movies and get paid for it.
right. No, and that's the gag. It's because we thought we needed all these gatekeepers and shit, and we don't. Like all of us started podcasts this pandemic. We were like, I got somebody's Zoom account, I got a mic, let's go. And it's a better time because
This
I
is
was at the
not my
same.
Zoom account.
Listen, we switched over to StreamYard because they had a sale, but we were using Trent's Zoom our first year. And so many other people are making it work. Like I remember when Girl That's Scary first got started, which I found them late. So I'm saying like I was a day one. I was more like a year one. But like when they first got started, they were sitting there in their apartment on a phone with between them, doing it on Anchor, and it's still the best fucking podcast we've ever had. And so like, just do it. Like again,
Yeah.
with the confidence of a white man, just do it. Every time I do that, life is so much better for me. Like the year I got my first production in London, it's because I was like, I've seen a lot of the scripts that are coming around and they're not good. So whenever I think about my own work, I could probably also do some stuff. And I had a hell of a good season that season. I was like all over the place because I was like, I'm gonna throw my pages around like a white man. And some people picked them up. And I was like, yay.
Nice. Nice. I don't even know where we were at, but fuck
Yeah.
it. Let's talk about this movie a little bit. So first, so I got some notes here. If you had notes or not, if you just vibe, and that's cool. So the movie starts off with I can't keep forgetting his name.
I'm so bad at names.
Tom.
Always.
Tom.
Yes.
Okay, so the movie starts and they're chasing Tom through this field, like a helicopter's chasing him, and a bunch of other um, soldiers and on foot, and also in like a Range Rover sort of thing. And right away, I felt like, wait, why are they? Because it's hard to not think, okay, this is a black man being
Mm-hmm.
chased through the fields through the fields by white men. You're thinking, is something bad going to happen here? And I'm not going to like this. And I love that they subverted that expectation.
Especially because it was the 70s. And so black people were dying first. Like, and so I was like, ah, man, we're going to open this way. And so when he like jumps up, he's like, haha, I'm the billionaire and these are my people who work for me. I was like,
Yeah.
the first gag of the movie.
Yeah, it was great. So they catch him like 2 or 3 times, but they let him go. And then he stumbles upon like this clearing with some like lily white people, like just lunching outside. And then he's shot, and they're all like surprised. We find out it's a trick. That he's actually been like testing his security system that he's had installed to make sure that it's working. There's like ground sensors, and there's cameras in the trees, and there's mics everywhere. And I find it difficult to believe that his last test to make sure the system was working and his guests had already arrived. Like, I work in like the computer like testing sphere, and it's always like, yeah, we need to be beta testing this before we're doing anything, and this shit needs to be, before we go live, we need to be 100% sure. And it's already live. We have people here, and he gets shot. But he's also like, we see based on his wardrobe throughout the movie that he's got a flair for the dramatic.
He does.
So I'm sure that's why he wanted to do this, right?
I was like, I'm obsessed. I want more extra black men doing the most of these parties. Because again, this is the kind of role that would have been some white guy. Like even today, it would be like, well, call Tom Cruise. I assume this because on the Tom Cruise movies, I don't know. Or call like a Brad Pitt. And it would have been an all white cast with maybe Janelle Monáe on the side, Knives Out. Um,
Oh, there's that Glass Onion.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
shit.
yeah,
I
yeah.
couldn't finish it. But I was like, I don't like this kind of movie. But like when we do it in the 70s and we put black people in it and like their leads, I'm just like, okay, I'm listening.
He
Also
is
quicker.
quicker.
Cause like Glass Onion's like I forget how many hours, but this is like
Oh,
what,
I see.
90
I see what you're
minutes?
saying. Yeah, 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 yeah. This is, yeah, like 91 minutes or something, like perfect movie, because it actually does drag in some spots when it gets bogged down by like the action scenes and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a pretty short, it's a pretty good 90 minutes. I actually had the same note that what you were saying. I said, I love to see Peter Cushing in the role that he's in. And I love the fact that in every other movie of this budget, he would probably be the star, but not
Yeah.
this one. Not this one. We have Calvin Lockhart, who is fucking charming, so
Yes.
goddamn, so handsome, so charming, such a presence. Like, it's amazing. I love the choice of Calvin Lockhart for this role.
And he really makes sense because like Marlene Clark was a badass bitch. And so you have to also get for another 10 to work with. Otherwise, we're gonna be like this math don't math.
Yeah,
Like, which is why I love this and Ganja and Hess for her, because they were like, Dwayne,
Dwayne
Dwayne,
Jones. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Ganjan Hess. Just Ganjan Hess. I can't say that.
It it's a
It's very
mood.
ethereal for
Yeah,
me, and I'm not the smartest. And also, I don't partake. But I bet if I did partake, it would be the best fucking movie ever.
probably. No, like I'm not an art house girl, but I appreciate that like we secretly had like a black art house movie that whole time.
Right.
And so for more historical context, plus like the man who wrote it, whose name I just forgot because I can only have two thoughts at a time. Um, he was a queer black man, and we don't get a lot of
Okay.
those in the horror sphere. And so I get what it wants to do. I like it as it is, but also I don't revisit her often because I don't find romance fun. I
Bill
do
Gunn.
appreciate, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Bill Gunn. Yeah. That did you say you don't appreciate romance?
Hmm.
Okay.
Yes, it's not for me. Like,
Okay.
I want people to die. Like when I show up to a movie and like everybody's not getting bloody and violent, I'm just like, what's the purpose? Like
So do you not enjoy romance in your horror movies or like literally like in your literature or any other movies? Like, is that not you're not your
everywhere. Like
okay,
whenever
gotcha.
it appears, I'm just like, oh, can we kill somebody already?
Can we move
And
on? Like
yeah, I'm like,
when
oh, is my time to get snacks? Okay.
whenever like my wife is watching something or even like a movie that we're because there's romance and sex and horror movies, like they just
Mhm.
start kissing, I just get like misophonia. It's
Right.
like, all right, can we move on? Can we
It's
please
like,
move on?
what the fuck are you eating? Like, who's your folio artist? Because it's always so loud. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, ugh. And it's always forced because, like, very few of the people they put together in movies have chemistry.
Mhm.
Like, we just watched, for somebody else's podcast, we just watched Grease 2. And, like, Michelle Pfeiffer and Maxwell, I forgot his last name. They had no chemistry to the point where I was like, did they not like each other? And the host, like, they did not like each other. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Because for whatever reason, movies specifically and TV are like we need a couple, and I don't think we need that anymore. I think
Yeah.
maybe back in the olden days, that's what they were putting on the housewives. That stereotype of they need romance and they won't watch it. Now we like guts, we like zombies, we like violence. Like give us
Yeah.
cool fight sequences.
We it's just like especially like in slashers you get the woman's there to be killed while they're having
Mhm.
sex. It's like it's played out at this point. You just don't need it. And I think in the movies we're seeing nowadays we don't see it as much, which I'm appreciative of, but yeah,
Mhm.
definitely in the later. But speaking of romance, we find out that his backstory was that he was from one of the like Caribbean islands, and he was basically saying he was always a hunter, and the people who lived on the island were like always going after like the tourists, like, but he's talking about like getting money, like begging
Yeah.
for money or like but he's like he was more patient and he went after the right one. And so was saying without saying that basically he met a woman and that's how he got his money because he married her, and inherited her money. She passed away because she's not in the movie, or is it Marlene Clark? Is Marlene
I
Clark
couldn't
the?
tell.
Oh, I just put the two and two together. That was racist of me for not thinking that she could be the billionaire from which he's talking about. That see, sometimes you gotta like test
I
your own theories.
I'm happy you had that because I was like, is it her? Is it not her? Because it was the way they described it was a little bit shaky for me. So I was like, is it her? Is it not her? Because I think it's her. But also Marlene Clark is that bitch, and so I assume she's with a kid and she's got all the things. And so maybe that's just me projecting.
Yeah,
I did not know, and so
yeah. But because of that, I was like, oh, he's a 90-day fiance. That's what he is.
yeah,
Because wait, okay, I think the reason why because there's a definite power dynamic between the husband and wife where this is wild. My head is racing because if it's her money and he's walking around spending all of her money and treating her like he's treating her, like basically at one point he sends away the help and says, oh, you're going to be taking care of this group of 8 people for the weekend or for the week or whatever. It's like the fucking audacity and gall of this man.
but like back in the olden days, like men were they just took everything and like the law let them. They were on their side because women couldn't even have bank accounts until was it the 80s or late 70s? I used to
Yeah.
know. And so if she did marry, he would just like get all of her stuff. Lawyers just like it's all his now. which is why I would have never gotten married if I had anything back then. I don't want to get
Right.
married now and I have nothing. So I know back then I would have been like, you can't have it. Because you'd marry in, all of a sudden he owns all of your stuff. And I'm just like, that was not a good deal, ladies. Why are y'all so pressed to get married?
Yeah, because the if she's the one with the money, this dude was more audacious than any other character I've ever been. To just, you know who he was? You guys were talking about him on the podcast, a couple of podcasts ago. Kiki
Oh, Kiki
Palmer's
Palmer's like, yeah.
boyfriend, or yeah, they were boyfriend, right?
Yeah.
Like
The
where he
man who
was
used to babysit for Kiki Palmer.
he was tweeting on her internet that she paid for, that she's a mama, and that's what this dude is doing. He's using her money to be like, you could be a werewolf. Like, bitch, this is my house. What are you talking about?
The audacity. And she's just letting him go wild because, again, that's another trope we see a lot on especially sitcoms, because the sitcoms are just like the woman is the calm resource, who's the logical person in the house, and the man spins the fuck out. We've seen it with Martin. We've seen it with My Wife and My Kids. We've seen it with so many where it's just like the husbands are doing the most and the wife's just like, you know how men are. Here's the meatloaf. And I'm just like, no, he's a menace in your house. You talk about this.
Yeah. Well, so they do like play the straight man to like the straight woman, I guess. But like Gina do be getting crazy and shit with.
Well, she had her head stuck in the fucking bed.
I was just about to say when she got her head stuck in the bed. Oh, big head Gina. Oh man.
I watched that reunion because it's the first time to see all of them, aside, of course, from Tommy, in the
Yeah.
same
Rest
room.
in
And I
peace.
was like, I did not know Pam was not supposed to be a regular at first. Like,
She was not supposed to be.
no, because she was like dragging them a little bit, but politely. She's like, yeah, because I was like the sixth person on the call sheet when I was called. Um, that first season. And then like around season 2, they were like, oh no, she's funny. We should keep her. And she's like, yeah.
I didn't watch the reunion because of that whole thing that went down with Martin and
Yeah.
what's her name?
Tisha Campbell.
Tisha Campbell. Yeah, like how it broke up the show. And then I never knew if they were cool after that, because like he was stalking her. So
Yeah. No, Martin was not a good dude when we were kids, but like
yeah.
the media spins it so it's the woman who's at fault. And so like they seem to have made peace with it, but also
Okay.
I can't tell if it's we've made peace because we talked about it, or if it's I'm gonna keep losing this because he's a man in the industry. So if I keep talking about it, I won't have things. And we
Yeah.
never know until people put in their memoirs later in life. So
Yeah.
yeah. But
Yeah.
I
But
will say it was good to see them all in the same room, and I hope that she's in a good place no matter what has happened.
yeah. Yeah. Because that big head had him like he was crazy. He was,
No, and because I've always wondered, because I knew that Tashina and Tisha were friends because I saw them in like Little Shop of Horrors as a kid, and they were roommates when she got the job for Martin, and that's when she was like, my roommate is an actor too, and they were like six on the call sheet. And so I was like, it feels weird that you have to stay in a place your friend had to leave because legal reasons.
oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. They were in House Party as well together.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
were inseparable because they were two black women who could act and sing, and
And
they
were
were like all over
funny
the place. Yeah,
and
so
could
I love that.
dance.
Right. And so I just love that they were so close that they were also roommates at the time, because like it is not easy breaking into the business of the black person.
Yeah.
And so I love that they were like, let's just go ahead and do it together. And they were always on TV, and either because like Tashina's also had like a career. She
Yeah.
did Everybody Hates Chris
But
and some other sitcoms I'm forgetting. Like they're just always working, both of them. And so I love that.
it sucks though. I'm glad that they're always working, but it sucks that they're always the wife
Mm-hmm.
and not the main character, sort of thing. But it would be nice to see them. Although shit, Gina's name, her real name is
Tisha Campbell.
Tisha Campbell. I get Tisha and Tashina mixed up just in my head. But Tisha Campbell, in My Wife and Kids, the curly hair was not doing it for me. That was a wig. Was that a wig?
It was such a wig. It was such a wig. And I was like, Auntie Tisha, come on now. But also, ABC budgets don't know do black people
Yeah.
here.
I was about to say they probably didn't have a person in hair that could do a black woman's hair, so she had to do with the wig. But we also could have got another wig or something, because
Listen, they never want to give us the good wigs. And then they're like, why won't people watch this? Because she's being abused. Look at her scalp.
Okay, okay. So it's back to this Beast Must Die movie, which is just in the peripheral at this point. I love. So me and Anthony Jerome did a 10 series, a 10 episode season for my show. It was called My 70s Confessional, where we went through because Anthony says he hates the 70s. And so I wanted to show him some of the great movies from the 70s. And I just love it so much. And so I find myself coming back to the 70s a lot. And the 70s aesthetic in this movie on amazing. They had the rattan chair, which is like that woven chair with the like the king back with the red velvet in it. And our boy Tom is in like a thigh length robe. Like if he were to lift his hands up, we would see everything. Like
I love that he never had a shirt that was closed. Like we were always like, make sure you see this chest. Make sure you see this chest at all angles and all things.
hell yeah, because women are always sexualized, so let's sexualize the
Yeah.
men. Although
About time.
yeah, although it's difficult when like when you involve like race in it as well, because there's also something about like sexualizing a black man for white audiences and all that sort of stuff. So it's always, you have to be careful with that. But I love to see in a more general sense men being sexualized versus women being sexualized.
Yes, because like we still live in an era where you can get a TNA matinee on almost any movie, but like the men are like in three-piece suits. I'm just like, why wouldn't he also take some clothes off? Like I'm
Yeah,
not supposed to say anything. I'm not supposed to notice this. And I hate when they snitch because like, so I was on Rise. Oh my God, Ash and Germ show, Rise the Dead.
yeah.
Thank you, words. Rise from the Dead. I was on there with Ash talking about a movie because Ash can find them deep cuts on Tubi. And like this woman, we saw everything. They kept her naked for half the movie. She busted out of like showers naked. She was falling down naked, rolling all around, limbs akimbo. And like her scene partner for her sex scene had to keep his pants and his socks on because he didn't want to get naked. Is what we found out. He was like, I'm uncomfortable with
Oh
nudity.
wow.
Meanwhile, she's like entering the scenes tank first, and I'm just like, that does not, that does not equal.
So for research purposes, what's the name of this movie?
I should
I'm just kidding.
know. Oh my god, it's Ash has deep cuts, y'all, and so I'm just like, I've never heard of this, and then we get there because she's the one that introduced me to the one I'm still pissed about, Ted Raimi, Skinner. That one I remember. Skinner, I remember because Ricky Lake
Okay.
was there. Ted Raimi was there, and it gets off the rails and a little bit racist. And by a little bit, I mean a lot of it. And I was like, ooh, like,
Okay. Not a
yeah.
recommendation.
No. So he plays a serial killer who's skinning people, which should be cool, but he puts on the skin and then he does like mockeries of these people. So he's playing a lot of women, and you're like, that's weird and a little bit misogynist, but whatever. And then he kills a black man
Oh
and
no.
proceeds to do the most racist job turkey, ha ha ha, walking around forever in a weird voice. And I was like, Ted Raimi, this is a racism. I know it's before I was born, but it's a racism, and I would like to write you a letter. Um,
What not that it excuses anything, but what decade is this or what era is this?
it was like early '90s, late '80s. Like it's not
Yeah.
older than '93 because Ricky Lake was in it before she got her talk show. Like, yeah,
Ricky Lake. She was in one of John Waters' movies too, that
I think
musical
Hairspray.
Hairspray. Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
okay, okay.
yeah.
I
No,
always so weird to see that Ricky Lake had an acting career before the TV show.
it was wild because as a kid, like, because again, we're '90s kids, and so you're just like, what do you mean this person was doing this, huh?
Yeah.
What? Eddie Murphy had a song, excuse you. Like, what were y'all doing before I was
Party all
born?
the time. Speaking of Eddie Murphy and wardrobe, my man Tom had a black leather suit, just like
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy did. I mean, Eddie Murphy's was colorful, like in Raw. What his was red in Raw, right? But like with no shirt underneath either, my man was like sweating. I'm sure, like just puddles beneath coming out of his pants because he's just wearing a leather jacket and the leather pants and just
I was so
hunting
comfortable
like
for
that.
him. I was so comfortable for him. I was like, I need air and water. I said, I know he needs it. Oh, God.
Yeah, like guys can get yeast infections too, man. Like I'm just telling you, like
Listen, I'm just thinking of all the chafing because like there was no barriers between like his torso and that jacket, and I'm assuming they weren't like here's some pants, friend me these pants, or he's just like walking around rubbing leather all day. It gotta smell funky too. You know it had to be funky.
It's like what's that movie? They talk about corduroys.
Oh God.
It's the corduroys, Drew. They make the noise when you walk. Ah man, is that it's a like a black movie like that's takes place in the 70s. It might be maybe Crooklyn or one of those movies I
I
forget.
keep trying to say Hollywood Shuffle, and it's not Hollywood Shuffle. I know it's
No,
not.
but that's what a quote that me and my brother used to quote all the time. Because when you wear corduroys, I don't y'all young kids don't know about corduroys. Corduroy pants, like growing up, was the height of fashion, and yet the worst thing anybody has ever made because you can hear if your thighs rub like mine do. You just hear whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
Like crickets. It's just like
It's the worst fucking thing ever. I just had a flashback to a worse time in my life with corduroys. So the less we talk about corduroys, the better. But I was just thinking, like you can hear.
yes.
That's how they found him. They didn't find him because of all this machinery and mics and cameras. They found him because all the fucking noise his thighs were making running through this goddamn forest in leather pants.
Listen.
Oh my god, love it.
He was like fashion first.
Yeah, and then we had Peter Cushing in a periwinkle blue leisure suit, iconic. And then later in the movie, he has like it's a black sweater, but on his shoulders, it's like a really colorful checkered pattern.
Yeah.
I'm here for it, man. It's just the style was just amazing. I love it. And then of course we have Marlene Clark and everything.
Marlene Clark was always a model. Like no matter whatever it was, I feel like she was stomping down the runway, even though she was like coming to ruin somebody's day. Because like she is always that bitch. She's just like, I'm gonna tell you what I'm really thinking, even if I don't do anything or I don't say anything about it. I'm gonna tell you right here, right now.
Yeah.
You making mistakes. Bye. Like
And she was actually a model in real life. I think before she got into acting, she was a model. I mean, you could tell, obviously, she's gorgeous.
yeah, she's gorgeous. Her posture is amazing. Like her whole personality just exudes. What are you doing for me, real quick? Like, what are you doing for me?
Perfect
Like,
power couple. Like
yeah.
her and Jesus Christ. Calvin Lockhart. Calvin Lockhart. I'm horrible with names. Sorry. Her and Calvin Lockhart together, just like if they were to walk in the room, like the presence would melt everybody.
It would have been royalty. I would have been like, oh shit, we really went to Wakanda. We did it. Like, we
Like,
got it.
like who the fuck are these people to be in the presence of Calvin Lockhart and Marlene Clark just at a dinner party, just randomly staying at their house, like and acting as if it's just normal. It's just crazy. But there's a couple scenes actually, which I thought you would like, where he just drags people. Tom just like when they're sitting around the table, he tells them why he's invited them for the weekend. He drags them. Oh, because you're all suspects, and here's why.
I just love that audacity because again, it's not something we had a lot of roles for black people in that era. But so for him to like fall from the helicopter and just come out with all the audacity to be like, you're all here because I think when he's a werewolf, I'm gonna kill you real quick. Also none of you are leaving. I've taken the keys. I shut this shit down. Good day. It's giving me big did you watch Slasher Flesh and Blood? It was a couple of seasons ago.
No.
But like David Cronenberg plays this like father because you know you have to have the rich father who's trying to draw the money. And he's just like, none of you are getting it because none of you are serious. Like it's basically like Succession, but in a horror situation in Canada.
Yeah.
And I was just like, the audacity. And so when Tom was like, and this and another thing, and that's why I've practiced this, and you're not gonna get away with it, you little werewolf bitches. I was like, yes.
And then one of them says, I don't have to talk. I don't have to stay here and like talk. Wait, what did it say? I don't have to take that kind of talk from you. And then just Tom just like, you just did. It's like, love it. Absolutely. But when he says that, well, there's so many instances in this movie where I'm like, he did that. That was that one scene where he just looks at him. He's like, you just did. You just stood there and took all this shit from me. What do you do about it? Nothing, right? And it reminds me of other huge times in Black horror movie history, but also just in movie history. Like one is in Blackula, at the very beginning when they talk about like how he became Blackula, and he's at the dinner with Dracula,
Yeah.
and he starts insulting his wife, and he
Yes.
says, "Are you ill?" Amazing, loved it. And then also Dwayne Jones slapping that
Yes.
white lady in Night of the Living Dead. Like this is on par with that.
No, that scene and the other scene from Night of the Living Dead is when he's like, "You could be the boss downstairs. I'm the boss up here." And I was
Yes.
like, "Yes, Dwayne. Yes, I'm on the plane with Dwayne, y'all. I believe in him." Look,
Yeah, another one, like he was gone too soon. Like he was another like classically trained theatrical actor, you know.
yeah, like we get so many actors who get all this training, and specifically because other countries value arts. And so like they're graduating from like London or wherever and they come back to America or wherever and it's like you can play the maid or the crackhead. Um and it's like, well, I guess the crackhead has more lines. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um I'm glad to see that it's changing, but it's not there yet. It needs to change more, because like if you think about it, 90s sitcoms was so black, like
Hmm.
90s TV was so black, and then what happened? 2000s happened, like 2001 happened, like September 11th happened, and people became patriotic, and patriotic almost always means racist, and so they're
Yep.
like, no more black TV.
Like we never talk about the live real time gentrification of UPN to CW because
Mhm.
UPN was Malcolm and Eddie, it was Moesha, it was all the black shows, the Parkers, and all of a sudden it was CW and it was the Gilmore Girls and Buffy had moved over there and we didn't see black people anymore and we people just like what. And
Yeah,
nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about it. But like we had a good thing and then it was gone and nobody ever said why and what for. And now we're like, you can see the reruns of Girlfriends on Netflix. I'm like, but what are we doing now?
yeah, exactly. Well, like Fox did it too. Fox did it with Martin
Yeah.
and
Living
Living
Single.
Single. Yeah, and like, and then once I was reading an article about this just a couple days ago, but I've known about it and read about it in other articles. Like these networks, when they launch, they use black culture, black people, because that's all white America wants, is they want to look black and act black, but they don't want to be black, right? So they
Hmm.
use the popularity of black people to start their networks, and then once they've got a good footing, then they cast all the black people outside, and then it's just white people in these roles,
Hmm.
and it's really fucking frustrating. So that's why I say that to say that now it looks like we have a lot of black people in act as actors in horror movies, not so much in directing. We need to see more behind the scenes as well, but we're getting it there, but it's not where it needs to be, and you can't stop, because if you stop, then you get the 2000s, where black people
Yeah.
disappeared from TV except for like Girlfriends and stuff like that.
Right. And it's gotten to the point where so many black actors who've been trudging along for so long are now in the places where they can be producers, which is why Harold Perrineau, who has been around forever and always, and is another actor who doesn't get all of the roses he's due. He's producing From Now, and it's the first time he's gotten a lead role that I've gotten to see him in 2 seasons now, and he's showcasing all the things he could have been doing his entire career because even small doses of him, we knew he was something, whether it was Romeo and Juliet, whether it was Lost, whether it was Oz, what have you, because he's been everywhere. But it's the first time he's been like, I'm gonna be a lead, I'm gonna show people what the fuck I can actually do, but I have to also produce it now.
So what I've heard about From, and I think AJM suggested it, or at least talked about it, is it good? I don't watch a lot of TV at all,
Yeah.
so
The first season of From, I always describe it to people as if Stephen King didn't have all them isms and understood pacing. That first season is chef's kiss, tens across the board. Second season is still good, but it gets away from the like anybody can die to this is a mystery. We got to unravel, which I'm not mad at. But some
mm,
people were like, I want more death. I'm like, we're getting death. It's just not as shocking as it was that first season. Because that first season, it was like, who's safe? What is everybody's contract? Because we're killing so many people. I forgot that bitch's name, but we're bathing their blood still. Oh my god, I love it.
what what's that on?
So you can catch the first season on Amazon Prime now because it's on MGM and nobody has MGM. But
Yeah.
like they got renewed their season because they're the most popular, well, second most popular show on MGM because it's that damn good that people did that free trial to catch up. So you can like
Okay.
watch all first season, and then you can be like, I'm gonna go do this trial quick and do the second season because it's on MGM.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
and I hope that we get our third next year, but they keep fucking around to find out with these writers, and so we'll see.
Right. Yeah. And we do support the writers and the actors in their strike here because they're the
Yeah.
ones that are making it's so ridiculous. I was watching the news and it was like what they're asking for is so infinitesimally small
Mhm.
to the bottom line of these like Disney could afford to give SAG and AFTRA and all of the unions what they want based off like a percentage of the profit they made from court from Q1 this
Mhm.
year.
Listen, the fact that A24 can do it, because A24 is still filming because they can afford to do the things while people are still negotiating.
Yeah.
A24 is like, that's all? Yeah.
Yeah,
And
they're
they make
like we will
independent
abide by
movies.
anything. Yeah.
If the independent movie factory can do it, then like Universal them can definitely fucking do it. And again, what's happening is it's built on this model that they kept changing but never changed. And so like back in the olden days, when you did a show on broadcast TV, you got a certain amount and that was kosher for that. But now when it's done over there, it has a new life on all these streamers and all these other things, and all these back end things and DVD sales, and the actors get like 37% residuals. And the writers are like, oh, are we still getting paid for that? Because I never get paid for it anymore. And these companies are like, but we're billionaires. That's all that matters. And it's like, no, it's not, because the more we refuse to pay people, the harder it is, which is already hard for people who like us to get in. Because I would love to write for TV, but the fact that TV writers are struggling just as much as I am, that's not sustainable for me. So I would close up my computer, shut down my little things that pay my bills, and I would go out here and be like, I'm gonna pay my bills this month and hope I can pay them again later in the year.
Yeah.
Like there was that one actor who was like, she was on like two voiceover things. Like I forget the popular, it was two popular cartoons. I think it was Rick and Morty and like something else that was big. Not Bob's Burgers, but something in that like caliber.
Mhm.
And she didn't clear 27,000 one year, so couldn't get on the insurance with her new baby.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah. Like
Um, just
it's
pay
sad.
them. Just pay them.
Right.
Like if the pandemic didn't show you how important the arts are to survival, like where would I be without books and music and movies? Like during the pandemic, we there would the suicide rate would be so much higher. Like I don't need to go down that path. But all I'm saying is this artwork, and that's what it is. It's art. These people are making art helps people in so many different ways. People don't realize it. Like music and movies, it's so ubiquitous throughout our culture that you believe that it doesn't really affect you. But if these people stop making this, then what are you going to have? You have nothing. And
Yep.
so it's just pay them. It's so ridiculous. And they're not even asking for uh huge things. They're asking to keep up with inflation. All this over keeping up with inflation. It's
Hmm.
absolutely ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. And again, it just goes to show how people don't value other people, because we've heard people be assholes forever and always about why does somebody who flips burgers need $15 an hour to fucking live? And so now they're just like, why does people who make art for me to consume need to live? And it's like, stop being awful, Judith. Like,
Yeah.
um,
They never ask why does a billionaire need another $1 billion?
right? Because the billionaires are doing too much. Like, if we could have stopped the billionaires, Twitter would still be Twitter right now. Like, so clearly we need to learn a lesson here.
She's still Twitter to me.
Oh, I'm never changing her name. Like, I don't listen to billionaires,
Yeah. You can't tell me what to do. I
right?
actually like deleted because I had just gotten onto Twitter within the last 2 years and I never really felt comfortable there. So I was just like, besides like missing Black Twitter, I don't really miss it at all. But
Listen.
Black Twitter is what made Twitter. You know,
And
again,
like,
they're talking about like what makes. Sorry to interrupt you. But it's what makes things popular is like the Black community going on there and legitimate making your platform
yeah.
legit. So
That's why I love Spill, because Spill right now is still mostly Black people, because it's made by the Black people who left Twitter.
yeah,
And so like they're like, what if we all just keep constantly? And it's magnificent. It's my new favorite app. I don't spend enough time on it because unfortunately my career is tied to Twitter. When Twitter goes down, whenever that is, if it ever happens, I basically have to start over. That's where I get most of my things. How most of people know me. It's how they find me to give me their like screeners, and so it's unfortunately necessary evil right now for me.
Yeah.
Um, Hopefully someday a different app that I enjoy, whether that's Spill or Instagram, will be able to give me some of that. But I don't foresee that happening soon.
Like I've heard of Spill, and I would love to get an invitation if they do it, but like there's always that thing of like when you let more people in, that's when the toxicity
Do
starts,
you have
you
an
know.
iPhone?
I don't have an iPhone. No.
Oh,
I'm a dirty Android user.
I miss my Android, but like I was about to say, if you have an iPhone, I can send you a spill code right now.
I
But it
got you.
only works on
I
Mac
appreciate that.
products. Yeah.
Oh, that's why. But I'm always like scared about, you know, you guys have the reason you need to do that is because you have to protect yourself from all the racism and all the stuff that's happening in Twitter, all the toxicity. And so I completely understand needing that platform and wanting it to grow. But as you grow, how do you how do you keep other communities out without seeming like you're being exclusionary? But then once you let people in, then that's going to start, you know. So it's, I don't
Yeah.
know how they do it, but I wish them all the success because I love that Black people have that platform for themselves, you know.
Look, I especially love it because a lot of the other apps that are popping off are very white forward as usual. And so it's kind of like this awesome break because I'm tired of seeing like these like really problematic takes and these like really problematic arguments. And I can just go over here and be like, ah, melanin. Um,
It's like Black Planet for 2023 or something.
right? But she works.
Yeah, I used to be at Black Planet so much. And there was a Hispanic one. I don't remember the name of it, but Black Planet was lit all the time.
I thought we were gonna go back because like when Twitter started like pissing off the people most recently, I was like, are we going back to Black Planet? Oh.
Yeah. Is it still around?
I think so. I'm pretty sure it's
Okay.
one of the things people tried to give me an app to, or like an app, an invite to, and it didn't work for me. It was like, your thing has been shut down. I'm like, but I just started it, and
Yeah.
it's not. It's a
Yeah.
sign I'm not meant to be here, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, there's also a movie we're talking about.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
All right. So, was there anything that you wanted to talk about in this movie? Did you have any notes or anything that you particularly loved, a scene or something?
I really really loved the after the werewolf break because it went to the pedal. It was like it's her, but also it's here, but also he got bit. And it reminds me of Werewolves Within because I'm a Josh Rubin account. We all know that. But like also Werewolves Within, see Sam Richardson in a lead role, which we never get
Yes.
because again problems. Um, but like for so much of the movie, you're just like, is there a real werewolf? Is it something else? How many werewolves? I don't know. I don't know. And so there comes a point where we just start executing people. Like it's like back to back to back to back, bodies hitting the floor, and you're like, oh, ah, ooh, I thought this was a comedy. Oh, goo, ooh. And it reminds me of that because so many people just catch it all of a sudden. And you're like, what? Where did we go? What happened? Who are we? Where did we come from?
Is that the one with the lady from T-Mobile commercials?
Yes,
Okay.
Mila. Oh, I forgot her last name. I'm bad at names.
Yeah, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Werewolf Within. I'll give you 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. I was you've seen it, yeah, because you're talking about it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've seen it so many times. It's my
Okay.
comfort movie.
I was so sad when I found out that it was her.
It made me so happy because I suspected her for a second, but again, so much is happening that I like lost her. Like, no, it's so and so. No, it's so and so. Like, maybe there is no werewolf. Maybe somebody pretending to be a werewolf, and then we
Yeah.
killed like 8 people. I'm like, ah, who's alive anymore? And I was like, okay, but we're still in this movie, so surely. And then the thing went off. I'm like, it was her. It
Yeah.
was, and I love that because again, we usually get this forced romance. And she was like, "No, I was like securing my food. Like this was not real. You know this wasn't real, right? Like,
Yeah.
help me. I drink kombucha." I was like, "I'm living for her."
Yeah. All right. And spoiler break. Yeah, so we just had they had a werewolf break, we had a spoiler break. Uh okay, there was one part in the scene, or in the movie, I should say, I'm sorry, where Peter Cushing is kind of going into detail of like how werewolves eat and how they get like they get bit and what happens to the blood and all this sort of stuff. And as they're doing that, they're all eating like this prime rib or something like that. And then they're like, nobody's eating it because they're getting sick physically from hearing this description. At one point, they're using like blood as gravy, and it is wild. Because I know, like in Southern cooking, that's how you make gravy. Is like you use a little bit of the blood from what you cooked along with flour and some other shit. But like it comes out brown. This was red. This was blood red, and it was so. I'm assuming it was just the blood, or I don't know if it was for the movie or if that's what people actually do.
I'm concerned either way. Because I don't like they did the blood. That was a gross ass visual, and I was like, they really, ooh, and I couldn't. It made me a little bit sick. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah. And then they're all like, oh, I think this is where Marlene Clark's character, what is her name? Her name is Caroline, right? Sorry. So this was where Caroline gets angry because she's like, you guys have been like doing this shop talk and it ruined everybody's appetite and nobody's gonna eat now. And they all walk away and go outside. And I was thinking, no, the fuck you're not. We just spent this is eight people worth of dinner. This is not going to waste. I'd be like, you come back and eat your fucking food or put it in a doggy bag or some shit.
Listen, like we're not just gonna waste all this shit. Like billionaires or no billionaires. I
Yeah. Yeah. And
yeah.
if it's her money, she's like, I pay for this food. Fucking, we're gonna fucking sit down and eat. Speaking of doggy bags, the actual fucking werewolf in this goddamn movie, the budget, I swear to God, bless anybody who had to deal with the budget for this movie. It was just a German Shepherd in a fur, in a
What?
fur-length coat. Like in your grandma's, somebody's grandma is pretty pissed because they used her fur for this goddamn werewolf.
When she jumps out that chair, I was like, "Are you fucking serious?" And I did laugh a little bit in my heart. Oh, because it was definitely like, and you can tell this influenced Snoop and Snoop's transformation in his music videos in the '90s. You can tell, but like by then they were
Oh
like,
man.
CGI is real. We don't have to like throw a dog out there. What?
Yeah, I was like, oh man, this poor transition from Wolfman from 1930, and they did it better, but still, that's fine. Like,
I'll still watch it again. Like,
yeah, that damn dog. I was just cracking up the whole time I would see this poor. Imagine that poor German Shepherd, how hot it was running through this fucking summer with a goddamn coat on.
you can
Oh
just see
man,
him crying, be like, "But I'm a dog. Leave me alone."
yeah.
Because
So
it looks
not much,
heavy.
not much happens in this movie. They're kind of just going back and forth. He's suspecting everybody. They have dinner parties. He suspects more people. There's at one point there's a scene where he's following somebody who they're trying to leave the island because like do they say it's an island? I may have
I
just made
think
that up.
they do because they're like,
Uh,
you can't get off because I've done this and that, and they're like, we
Okay,
can take this other thing. It's
yeah,
again, it felt very much like found spaces, found places.
yeah. Because I was like, why? What power does he have over them to make them stay? Unless it is an island, in which case they'd have to stay. But maybe I missed it or it wasn't well
Yeah.
stated. But at one point, he's chasing somebody who he thought was trying to leave or whatever, and he doesn't know that somebody's following him and with a bow and arrow through the woods. And this kind of gave me like Friday the 13th vibes,
Yeah.
because it was like a point of view of the camera.
Right? Like that was really cool. Like again, like there's always a few things that are cool in these movies, and the critics can notice those in movies where we don't have black people in lead roles, but not in these. Always we can talk about style unless there's black people involved. Like Bones is not a giallo. Bones is just trash. Um, and I'm just like, I don't think so. I think that your biases are speaking. I think that this is definitely a giallo set in a neighborhood
Oh,
you've
Snoop
never been
Dogg's
to.
Bones.
Yeah.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
got you. Got you.
No, because people love to shit on that movie. And I'm just like, any other kid, you're just like, no, it's Giallo. Y'all don't understand. When Snoop does it, it's trash. And I'm
Yeah,
just like, no, it's Giallo with black people. Get into it. Get into it.
yeah. And I that was one of those movies I had seen a couple years ago for the October, and I had seen it when it first came out, and I didn't like it then. But I was like 16, 17, whatever. Didn't really know. I didn't know at all what giallo was.
Same.
But then rewatching it, I was like, okay, this is a lot better than I thought it was. And he was paying homage to a lot of like the old 70s movies because he loves it.
Yeah.
And of course he had to get himself Pamela
Bam.
Greer because he is in love with Pamela Greer. So
I always wanted them to have the same friendship he has with Martha, but you know what? I'm just one person. But I too, I did, when I saw Bones, I had never seen a Jalo movie in my life because, like, again, it was harder to find those kind of movies back then. We didn't have Shutter, so we were at the mercy of whatever was at the Blockbuster, which was different for every location. And so I saw it, and I was like, I don't understand, but it's fine. And then I saw it, knowing what I know now. I'm like, oh, this was a bop, and I didn't know it. And from historical context, this and that, and all these fun bits. And I'm just like, why can't the critics who are not black see that?
yeah, and then I mean, directed by Ernest Dickerson, who is an amazing director, and he did was just shoot
With Jada, Demon Knight.
Demon Knight, yeah. But I will be looking at the director because I am drawing a blank. We just talked about it earlier too. It's the anthology movie,
Oh, he did Tales from the Hood?
Tales from the Hood.
No, he didn't.
No, am I tripping?
No, that was I thought I thought Rusty Cundiff directed and wrote Tales from the Hood.
You're
Let me
right.
double check.
I meant Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight. Yeah, you're right. I'm getting
Okay.
Tales from the Hood and Tales from the Crypt mixed up. You're right. But he did Juice, Tales from the Crypt, Bulletproof. Like he's done a lot of shit, and Bones was good as it was good
Yeah.
as well. Like it was, and people just don't give it enough chances. Like you're right. Like when it's a black movie, like they'll give a white movie or just a regular a movie that's like silly. They'll make it a cult classic, but a black movie that is kind of the same way as trash, but no, but
Mm-hmm.
Bones is a cult classic as well.
100%. And for whatever reason, we can make all these excuses because people love to be like, it's camp, it's satire, it's whatever. But when it's black people, it's just trash. I'm like, no, 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 no. It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno. Sit back down, get your life together, and stop saying the quiet part out loud because it's hard to not notice when all the movies you're downvoting are black people movies. It's
Mm,
it's hard to not notice that.
yeah. So I think we could kind of start wrapping it up. This one, basically, uh, we have the werewolf break. At that point, everybody's alive, and then we find out, oh, they have this one trick with the silver candlestick where they have to.
Mm-hmm.
It was very much like the Thing, right? But the Thing did it a lot better. And but was the Thing before this? No, the Thing was after this. But the original the Thing from the 50s was before this. Okay, but so there's this silver candlestick that they all have to hold, and because it's silver, if a werewolf touches it, it would instantly kill them or start to kill them. That doesn't work. Everybody holds it and they're fine. Then come to find out, actually, no, there has to be the pollen from wolfbane in the air in combination with the silver. It's getting a bit complicated now.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, because Tom is who he fucking is, has grown wolfbane. What would I want to know what you would do, Sharai, if a grown ass man with a plant blew pollen in your face? What are you doing?
I
I don't
fought
know
men
what
for
I'm doing.
less. I fought dudes for less. We would be throwing fists. Unless somebody next to me caught it and they were like, "Oh, that was a werewolf. You saved us. Thank you." But also, I would be mad because I'd be like, "You brought me to an island with a werewolf. I was not doing anything. I wanted an open bar and hang out with my friends, and I might be fighting for my life tonight. So we're already on rocky ground before he blows anything in my face. So we would definitely be fighting if I was still there.
Like, what the fuck did you just? Also, you need a breath mint, but he
Right?
literally he just. And we see all this. So then now, the pollen takes 24 hours to it's pretty convoluted, but they have to like get it in their system, and then we have the werewolf break, which is amazing. And then they all take this silver bullet and put it in their mouths, so because they think, oh, you can coat your hands with something and make no chemical reaction with the silver. So they put this, and I think they used the same bullet, not in
Mm-hmm.
reality, but for the movie, those dirty bastards used the same bullet, which is nasty as fuck. The only person who cleaned it off was I think the old dude,
Yeah. He
yeah,
was like, I don't want
Peter
anything
Cushing.
that's been passed around at this party. I'm
That's
gonna.
nasty. That is
It's
so nasty.
disgusting. It's disgusting. I was like, you don't know where any of these mouths have been. Somebody's a werewolf, so you know that mouth is dirty. Let's not do that.
Yeah. But so then the last person to take it is his wife, Marlene Clark, Caroline. And as soon as she holds it, her hand turns. Well, obviously they do a cut, and then they go come back to her, and she's holding it. It's all hairy and stuff like that. And then we kind of find out she's the werewolf. She turns into the werewolf. She turns into the fucking German Shepherd with the wig, and attacks them and like starts killing them. They kill her. How did she turn into werewolf? Oh, because her dog got into a fight with the werewolf,
Mm-hmm.
got bit by the werewolf, and then some of the blood from
Gotten her
her
cut.
dog got into her cut, and
It's very
she was turned
convoluted.
into a werewolf. Yeah, pretty convoluted.
Because
So
I
we
was
kind
like,
of
huh?
yeah, so we kind of find out she wasn't the original werewolf, so she was just a victim. She was turned
Mm,
into a werewolf, and then so there's still a werewolf on the loose, and people start. This is where it just basically becomes a slasher. People start dying, and then we come to find out that the werewolf was in fact Jan
yes.
Yarmakowski, who was the older dude with the beard with the mustache.
Yeah.
Not Peter Cushing, and he had tried to escape the house before and all that sort of stuff. So you said that you had a before the werewolf break, you had a guess. So what was your guess?
I guess the wife, because again it's Marlene Clark, and so I was like, she's gonna be the top predator here. Like, who's gonna take her? And then I was like, wait, that's too easy. We're still going. What did I miss? And then it was too late because they were like, it's this one. I'm like, oh, because I was like, it's always the person you live with. Like, that's what Scream has taught us.
Yeah. I had I had it being Jan, but because I wrote it down. But when it was Caroline, I immediately threw my old self behind the. I was like, "Oh, you're a fucking idiot. You were wrong. Of course it was Caroline." And then when it was Jan, I was like, "No, no, no, it was right. It was Jan. It was
Right?
fun. It was kind of interactive."
I love that because a lot of times people take the easy way out, and so would have just been like one of these characters and not the other one. But now we can all be right but wrong, or wrong but right.
Yeah. So he goes chasing for the last person. They go up into that helicopter. It's like a two-person helicopter.
Mm,
That helicopter is too small.
I would
Like
never
I
take.
hate when I see like one and two-person helicopters. Never, I would never.
Mm-mm.
But
No,
it
no, no.
does, which I'm glad. That's cool to see representation of people of color doing cool things. I would never do it, but I'll
Right?
all power to him. And then he says he only has one bullet left. Oh, but so he shows like this assault rifle or I don't know gun, so machine gun. I think it's a machine gun and with like a clip of like silver bullets. I'm like, oh, he's rich, rich. He's like
He's
shooting
Beyonce rich.
silver. Yeah, he's like he don't care. He got money to fuck around with, obviously, right?
So,
And then he's down to like one bullet. But I'm like, no, you had all those bullets. Those people were like sticking in their mouths. And then
right?
also earlier in the movie, they showed a whole cabinet full of guns.
Listen,
So
the math's
the
not mathing.
yeah. So then he finds the wolf dog. And then after saying he only had one bullet, shoots multiple times. So you love to see it. And then he ends up killing that wolf, the original wolf, who's Jan. Then he makes it back, and now there's only two. There's the woman, Davina, and there's the older man who was played by Peter Cushing, Professor Christopher Lundgren. Those are the only two survivors. And Tom walks in and walks into his house. Oh, we see that he's been bitten by the werewolf, so of course he's going to turn. Goes in the house, and the whole time I was hoping that they would subvert expectations and have him come out and then just shoot the last two survivors, and then he would just be a werewolf in the world with nobody knowing, which would be a amazing, fantastic ending. but that doesn't happen. He ends up shooting himself. We don't see it. We just hear the shot in the end.
It makes me so sad, but it's also kind of a badass ending because he hates werewolves so much. He's done this elaborate dance to kill a werewolf. He's cost himself his wife and some friends along the way, a nice right hand man. And so like yeah, and it also made me think of Night of the Living Dead because Ben did all the right things, and
Yeah.
then was taken out. That was for racist reasons. This was just him being like, no werewolves are leaving this island. Good day. Um, but I still think that those are in conversation with each other because like yeah, I don't want to give too much away because we're talking about that a little bit for the Patreon. Um, but yeah, I have thoughts.
Okay. But so then I just have a couple more thoughts on this, and then we can go into ratings. There was one scene. So we find out it's Caroline. Caroline attacks somebody, bites them. I forget who she is, who at that point that bites, and then she gets shot, and then immediately Davina starts screaming, and somebody slaps her. It's like she didn't even finish her
Right?
scream, and she got fucking slapped. And like last year it was so fucking funny. It's like, why did you slap that woman? She just screamed.
That took me out because she's right to scream. We have a weird dog, so she's right to scream. He just smacks her, and she's still screaming. They take her out. I'm like, you could just take her out to begin with. You know, hit her in the fucking face. But like,
Yeah,
it's the '70s. Everybody's getting backhanded.
or console her, or
Right?
I mean, like we were talking about Night of the Living Dead, but like he slapped her to save her fucking life
Right?
because
Right?
she was in a daze or whatever she was. But
Yeah.
this
No,
this chick, it took me out. I was cracking up.
it felt personal. It's like he wanted to hit her the whole movie, and this was just his time. He's like, "Watch, she's not paying attention. Pop, take her
Yeah.
out now." And I'm like, "What?"
Oh man, it was so problematic, but so fucking funny, man.
The
Like
'70s
the
loved
things they
hitting
thought,
books in the face.
it's like the thought that they think that that's okay. Like if that were to happen in a movie like nowadays, I think it would be even funnier because the woman would react and be like, "Did you fucking just slap me?" and just beat the shit out of this man.
Right? Like, can you imagine Leslie Jones screaming somebody hit her in the face? Like,
Shit.
that's the new movie. This is where the
Yeah.
violence is really gonna start.
Remake starring Donald Glover, or we
Oh,
could even have a female lead. Fuck that, a black female lead.
yes.
Who
Yes.
would you put as a black female lead in the remake of this one?
Ooh. I might give it to Mother Angela Bassett because if she summons us to the house, we're all going.
Everybody's going. Yeah.
Listen. And I would love to see her just out here wilding the fuck out. Being like when he's a werewolf and you ain't leaving my island. Like
Who the fuck would have the balls to slap Angela Bassett though? Is oh no, she wouldn't be the one to get slapped. Okay, it'd be
yeah.
somebody else to get slapped. Okay, yeah,
No, like
amazing. I love that casting. Dream casting.
yes.
Okay, and then the other things. There was a scene that felt a lot like either Alien or Aliens when she's looking at her watch and she could see that the aliens are getting closer and then they're coming from multiple angles and all that sort of stuff. That was happening in the forest when he was using this whole system setup, and his secondhand guy who gets killed is like telling him, okay, they're coming from this angle, they're coming from this angle, they're getting closer, 10 yards away, 50 yards away, whatever. That felt like Alien. There was so much suspense in that one scene. I think they did a great job.
There's so many moments like that that stick up where like this is a decent movie and we just never talk about it because black leads and it's the '70s. And so like had you not brought it to my attention and actually had I not read that article where she mentioned it and had you not been like it's actually streaming for free, I still would probably not have ever seen this movie.
Yeah, the only the only fault I could find with this movie is that great value werewolf. Like, I mean, we could have done better, but we could have done something else. But it's also fucking charming. You know,
It
it's
is.
really fucking charming.
I have
Uh,
seen worse werewolves. So I'm gonna let it go.
yeah. So all right, so uh, we watch this movie, y'all. It's so much fucking fun. We could go into ratings now. So on the show, we rate out of 5 upside down crosses. So how many upside down crosses would you give to The Beast Must Die from 1974?
I'm thinking probably 3.5 because she's so close to being just like everything I've ever wanted, and she's such a ridiculously good time to where like it feels impossible to give her less than three. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. When I first saw this movie a couple years ago, I was at four upside down crosses, but I think it was just because of the novelty of finding a black led horror movie,
Mhm.
black led werewolf horror movie
Right.
in the 70s. I was like, I have found gold. I am fucking happy as hell. So I gave it 4 stars. Watching it again, it's still a great movie. It does have, like I said, some slow parts, specifically when they focus on the action sequences. I mean, I'm here for horror, not so
Mhm.
much action. That it's cool to see as well, but they could have cut down a bit on it, so that hurt it a little bit. But the acting and the leads and just that goddamn great value werewolf. I'm at 3.5 upside down crosses on this one.
Yeah.
So what we do now is I will suggest a movie to you in a similar vein to The Beast Must Die, and then I would ask for a suggestion from you for a movie similar to this. Okay, so, Sheree, for me, the movie that I am going to recommend to you is from the same year, 1974, The House on Skull Mountain.
I've not
Ha-
seen that yet.
Okay, four cousins who have never met are invited by their great grandmother, Christoph, to visit her mansion outside of Atlanta. And this is a black cast, and it's Blaxploitation voodoo,
Into it.
haunted houses. I think I really hope you enjoy it. Again, this is one of those movies I saw a couple years ago. That was a black movie that I had never seen, a black horror movie, I should say, that I've never seen. And I really enjoyed it. I think you will as well. So that's my suggestion to you.
Into it. I'm gonna add that to my list. I have a movie with a black lead that's a little bit more recent, and people have not seen it. It's called She Never Died, which is a sequel to He Never Died. I don't need that original because it's not her. But this is about let's just say she's a woman. She's an older black woman in her 40s who's trying to be left alone to eat her like oatmeal at the diner, but like she's in a city that needs some assistance. So she's over eating the hearts of villains and like fighting through people and eating brains and shit. But she's not a zombie, but she's not undead. It's a whole thing. It's a
Okay.
good time. It gives me big blaxploitation vibes because like again, you have this older black woman and it there's these themes of because the medical field hates us and so we're always being tortured and so there's this theme of they treat her like she doesn't feel pain because she doesn't because she's not undead but undead. And it's just a lot of stuff happening. I'm trying not to like give anything away, but she definitely hits some people in the face. She eats some
Okay.
hearts. She puts some people under, and it's just a good time every time because she's just like unbothered.
And this is like 2019.
Yeah,
Okay, I
yeah.
see. I looked it up. That looks
It's usually
amazing.
streaming on like Tubi or something for free because again, she's just not getting the respect she deserves.
I've never
But
heard of
like,
it. So I'm definitely very
yeah,
excited for this one.
I've heard of the original, but I found her on accident because I was looking for more Black Final Girls one year as usual, and I was
Okay.
like, "What's this?" Like,
All all right. So, Sheree, uh, thank you so much for being on the show. We are going to continue our conversation on the post show Sunday school sessions. I always forget the name of it. It's my own goddamn show. The Sunday school sessions. So if you could please let everybody know where they could follow you, where they could support the podcast, the writing work you do, any way that they could buy her fucking cup of coffee if you're on that app
do
that I
that.
see around, all that sort of stuff.
You can easily find me at Miss Sharai. That's MISSSSHARAI. I forgot my own name. Wow. I'm doing great in this pandemic. Um, and I'm still on Twitter and I'm on Instagram under that handle. And if you follow me on Twitter, you'll see like all my podcasts hiding over there. So you get a link to like Nightmare on Fear Street or Bloody Massacre because at one point this year I had 6 podcasts. So odds are there's one you'll enjoy, whether or not it's one of my main babies or one specifically for a show. There's probably something for you over there. I do have a buy me a coffee, and you can probably find that on my website because I've not checked in on her in a minute. I need to do better. I was writing regularly over there, and then I started writing regularly for other people, and so I want to dust her off and get back to being like, here are my unhinged thoughts about things, and so I will probably be dusting her off before this goes up. In theory, that could be a lie. We'll see. But like, you can still buy me coffee over there
Right.
while I figure it out.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. This was so much fun. We sort of talked about the movie. I think we did a great job of it. If you guys need to check this movie out, it's so much fun. And follow us over on Patreon, myhorrorconfessional.com slash, no, patreon.com slash myhorrorconfessional. Flip it and reverse it. You know, Missy Elliott told y'all, flip it and reverse it.
Did.
You can do it. And listen to the Sunday school sessions with Sharai. All right, guys, we'll talk to you next week. Bye.